I would say one is like the transition. I've won and lost a lot of different times. One of the biggest things that happened when I told some folks about this story, like literally a couple of days ago, these corporate people were sitting in the room like, wait, what? And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I've taken wins and losses like you couldn't even imagine. The crazy part is that one of the biggest transitions was transitioning from my city to larger cities. I'll give y'all an example. I really got my marketing start when I started a promotional company when I was in college.
We need your help!
We need your help, man. If you haven't already hit the subscribe button and joined our community, do it now. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode. You'll be the first to hear our latest stories and strategies.
Plus, subscribing helps us grow and reach more people just like you. It's a win-win. Your support means the world to us, and it motivates us to keep leveling up our game.
Don't forget, hit the notification bell too, all right? You're always going to be in the loop with the new episodes drop. We release new content every Thursday at noon Eastern.
So what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button now. And let's continue this journey together.
Thanks for all your support, everyone. We can't wait to see where this journey takes us next.
Until next time.
Peace.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Level Up with Larry and Leo, where we transform trials into opportunities and dreams into reality. Today's episode is brought to you by our amazing sponsors, Next Level Media Marketing and Curb and Key Realty. Today, we have a very special guest with us, someone who has made a significant impact in the world of marketing and branding. He's the owner of 95 Agency, a leading marketing and advertising agency here in Atlanta, Georgia. And he's worked with major brands like Red Bull, WeWork, Sheen Magazine. We're excited to dive into his journey and tap into his brand experience and learn more about the importance of branding for entrepreneurs. So please welcome King Davis to the platform.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for your time. I like to say that time is the most precious commodity. It's the only one that we can't make more of, and we don't know how much we got left in the bank. So I want to thank you for being here. Introduce yourself to the audience. For those who don't know you, tell us a little bit about you.
So my name is King. I'm from Richmond, Virginia. I run a marketing and branding agency here in Atlanta, Georgia. I have a tech startup. It's an online marketplace. The CMO for 2 new restaurants here in Atlanta. That's what I got going on is right now at this very moment.
We definitely want to dive into a little bit of that. Who was the guy who was going around Atlanta, going into the restaurants? It was real viral. He went to a few. You know what I'm talking about, Leo?
You talking about Lee? Keith Lee?
Yeah, Keith Lee. Did Keith Lee hit up any of your restaurants?
No. So one of them is literally about to really like fully open next week.
Okay.
And then the other one, Nosh, is open now, but we're really going to really kick off after September 14th.
Nice.
Dope. So again, King, we're really thrilled to have you here today. Before we dive into your work and what you're doing at the 95 Agency, let's go back to the beginning. You said you grew up in Richmond and you later moved to Atlanta. Can you share a little bit about your upbringing and what inspired you to get into marketing and advertising?
Sure. So growing up in Richmond, I don't know if y'all have ever been to Richmond.
For 1 year, my parents were military and I lived in Landover, Maryland. So we lived in Landover, Maryland, so pretty close. I remember I have some crazy stories from over there. I always say, if run into somebody from D.C. or Maryland, I just kind of lean back because I kind of know how y'all roll up there. Yeah, talk to us a little bit about your upbringing.
So I'm from the V and DMV. So it's being from Richmond, it's I grew up, I'm from the west side of my city, Cary Shields to be exact. So growing up, my city was dangerous. My city was wild. Like any major urban city with no opportunities, being from the west side, kind of was just it's just like being from the west side of Atlanta. That's where a lot of the culture is, the dopest stories. Russell Westbrook went to school on my side of the city. We got a lot of people that came from my side of the city. And just coming up, I watched my grandfather was the first black man in my city to own and operate a mechanic shop and gas station, particularly in Jackson Ward. My mom had her storefront in my neighborhood. She had a boutique before like having a boutique was even a thing, though. My uncle owned a large tour bus company. So they had a lot of tour buses. So you had a lot of like celebrities, pro teams, college teams using their buses. Like growing up and then just watching my mom like have different businesses as I grew up, it was just kind of like, dang, like, you know, my mom always had a lot of free time for me, you know, growing up. Like she never, you know what I'm saying? She never missed anything. My dad worked, you know, stuff like that. You know, our parents wasn't together, but just seeing like the freedom that my mom was able to have and then my aunt and uncles and, you know what I'm saying? It just kind of always had me like, dang. Like,
so you grew up around entrepreneurs and business owners.
Yeah, my whole life. And then, of course, where I'm from, like I grew up around hustlers, you know, seeing like guys pull up on where I'm from on my block with nice cars. My cousin's one of them. I remember I was like 9. My cousin was like 15, had an Audi. You know?
Whoa! He got a $60,000, $70,000 car.
He had an Audi. He had a Cadillac, whatever the Cadillac, 2-door Cadillac DeVille's were. I just remember seeing people around me get money. Even like friends, older brothers of mine get money. And I used to be like, man, there got to be a better way. So that's how I got my start. But the crazy part about it is I've never told this on a podcast. I kind of always tell it like when I'm in like one-on-one conversations that I had my first store when I was 15 years old.
Wow.
Dang.
What was your store?
I sold Mitchell & Ness jerseys.
Oh, Mitchell & Ness was big when it was coming out. The jerseys, the hats.
Yep. So Mitchell & Ness jerseys. The crazy part about it was it had came out, you know, back in the day, like they were everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Fabulous was wearing them, Big Time, you know, so forth, so forth. I just remember it was a spot in my area called April Sports. I'll never forget it. They were called April Sports. They were only in the mall. And the jerseys, they were just starting out, right? And my mom we used to go up, you know, be up top a lot. And one day we stopped at Total Sports on Chestnut Street in Philadelphia. And the Nuggets jersey had just came out with the
Carmelo?
No, Alex English.
Okay.
Fab had just wore the jersey in the Trade It All video.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah.
So my mom bought it for me. I went to school. I was like back in school, man. Like went crazy.
Yeah.
When you that jersey, because you got to remember, like where I'm from is a little bit slower. You know, stuff get down there slower at that time. Long story short, man, we go back up to like we going back and forth buying jerseys, and after a while, I'm like, look, I want to open a jersey store. My mom, you know what I'm saying, get in touch with the jersey manufacturers. We put the money up. Wow. I opened up a store on the south side in a flea market selling real jerseys. You know what I'm saying?
Nice. So your mom helped you source, get it wholesale so you could retail it?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. You know, and my first store was in the south side flea market on Midlow. It was dope, though. It was dope. Like,
at 15? That's crazy.
It was dope, though. Like, it was fire.
And those lessons you must have learned must have really carried with you when you went, you know, and developed a lot of the other businesses down the road.
Yeah. Be honest with you, Larry, I'm very appreciative of that time, right? Because starting up anything is not easy. And we live in a microwave era now. So some of these lessons I've learned as a kid all the way through as an adult, it helps friends. It helps. I mean, we used to have talks at Cascade. It helps. I'm able to tell anybody, like, look, it's not going to be easy, but you'll get there. You know, you're going to get there. But, you know, a lot of people on social media make it just seem like it's like this, and it's not. Man.
Yeah, exactly. You're a 10-year overnight success.
Yeah.
Or they see you with these big brands and they think, man, he must have just got there. He must have just knew the right people. Man, since 15, my man's been putting in that work, and it compounds over time.
Yeah.
That's a great start. You came from an entrepreneurial family, so you weren't sold what most of us are, which is go to college, get a bunch of debt, get a job working in corporate America for 30, 40 years, and then retire, hopefully to have a Social Security or 401k.
You know what's crazy though? The crazy part about the story is that I was doing well. I was a standout basketball player, had good grades, like all of that. My grandfather was big on education because he had sixth grade education. So, and all my aunts, all my aunts and my uncle, they all went to college, graduated, everything else. The crazy part is I was like 17 turning 18. I had an opportunity to open a sneaker store. My mom's friend was a realtor, was going to give me his building. Long story short, my mom she had me write a business plan and everything else.
Wow.
And she went through the whole process of getting a Nike contract, putting 100,000 up. It was 100,000. It's 20,000. Yeah, it's 100,000. It's 20,000 per quarter and stuff like that. At that time, DTLR and Shoe City had just came to my city. They just got there, right? Long story short, what ended up happening is my mom was like, I'm down. I'll put the money up, boom, my credit, everything else. But you got to convince your grandfather to be the general contractor for the building. I already knew. I'm like, this is bullshit. I just knew how much education-wise he, was driven. I showed this man everything. I was going to get the building for free for 6 months, everything. This man just flat told me no. I was like, yo, what? He's like, you got to go to college. I'm like, for what? I'm like, I've been running my own thing. He was the patriarch of our family. So it was just... It was just no getting around that. So
we come from similar backgrounds where education is seen as
all I used to hear growing up. Go to college.
Yeah, and then go work for somebody. But you had other people that were in your life that were getting it and living well and having financial independence. Have parents in your life who could sponsor your dream. Who could say,
mama putting up that type of money. Oh my gosh. Shout out to mama.
Not
That
just the money,
huge.
it's the credit. When you put up your credit, you putting up your reputation.
Yeah.
That shows a lot of love and trust, the dreams that you had. So all that said, that must have been an obstacle. Tell us what is some of your biggest challenges, not just starting the agency, but in your business and life journey.
I would say one is like the transition. I've won and lost a lot of different times. One of the biggest things that happened when I told some folks about this story, like literally a couple of days ago, these corporate people were sitting in the room like, wait, what? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I've taken wins and losses like you couldn't even imagine. The crazy part is that one of the biggest transitions was transitioning from my city to larger cities. I'll give y'all an example. I really got my marketing start when I started a promotional company when I was in college at Virginia State. I started throwing parties. I only invested like $300 in it. Came back the next semester. I started renting clubs out literally for like $3,500 to rent the club. I threw a party at the Cotton Club. It was like 3 stories at the time. I made $100,000 in one weekend.
Dang.
And it, like since
So they let you run the bar too when you rent it out?
Man, I was 19 years old. I negotiated the bar percentages, the VIP percentages. I got the doors. I had my uncle. This is the part that everybody was like, dang, that's crazy. My uncle had the tour bus company, so I was charging students $55 per seat. Yeah, to get to and from the club. And I was running them to 3 different campuses, 2 buses.
No, that's good. That provides them safe transportation there and back if they're inebriated. I mean, that's a good choice for $55. And this was before Uber?
Before Uber and Lyft.
That's awesome, man. You see, you are.
So, you know what I'm saying? The crazy part is we was making all that money. It was dope. My crew grew from it was like 8 of us. And then it grew to it was like 150 of us. Like by the time the second semester, it was so many people promoting for my team at the time. And the crazy part is like, after a while, y'all, I just got to a point where I was like, yeah, this is cool, but this nightlife thing it's not me forever. I can't keep doing this. 3 semesters was enough for me. I'm cool.
So how'd you transition out of that? How'd you walk away from all that revenue?
Crazy part is I had a gap in between and so forth like that. And then when I came back to it, I got an opportunity I was in Miami and I ran across this well-known urban photographer. We didn't even know each other. I was down there trying to help out with starting a women's basketball bikini league. That's what it was called, bikini basketball. I get down there, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, no, what we did was dope though. Don't get me wrong, it was dope. It was dope. We get down there and I meet this guy. We did 2 small projects and stuff like that. Probably 8 months later, we started a whole management company. A whole management company. We out in Vegas, and literally he was like, "You want to move to Miami?" And I'm like, "Nah." I'm like, "I got literally 1 bag." And he's like, Ain't no better time than the present. And I was like, all right. I'm like, all right, let's go. I moved down there. That's when I kind of jumped into like the other side, like the entertainment side fully, and stuff like that.
I want to go back to like this question came to me when you were talking. You built this promotional company, and obviously it took a lot of people to help promote it. Did you already know these individuals? How did you gather your team? And how did you cast vision to them to be able to grow it to the level that you did?
I always remember something that like my grandfather always taught me was that what makes a lot of people special is vision and charisma. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? In college, okay, so a lot of the promoters that were in college at that time, they were alumni. So they was, they were off campus and everything else, right? I was the only promoter on campus at that time in class with the students, right? Mm-hmm. And what I realized is that, and technically I was from the city, Mm-hmm. So I had access to guys the girls liked outside of the city, you know what I'm saying, around the city. Mm-hmm. Wearing jewelry on campus. We were riding around in nice cars on campus. It was literally like we treated campus a 24-hour marketing opportunity. HBCU. It's not that hard to be like, hey, look, we're lit over here. You should come over. And people were getting paid. And I just think everybody understood the vision because like when they got around me and my team, like the 8 of us, and we were just kind of like, look, this is the goal. And it was like, this is how we going to do it. You want to do it?
That's what's up. Go back to Miami. I cut you off. So what happens in Miami?
We started this management company. We started working with a lot of models and influencers. I'm casting people to be in DJ Khaled video, be in the clubs, Lil Wayne videos. I did some work with MMG, did some work with Brick Squad. Just like I'm talking about, I work with Smooth Magazine, all like Black Men's, like all of that. Like, and it was literally like a 6-year run. Like it was insane. Like we went on like a 30-city tour of like shooting models. I ended up managing like 30 photographers, 100 some like females. Like it was that part of my life. And I was in college down there too at the time, finishing up college. Great. And it was insane because like literally like every day seemed like vacation. I had models in and out my house on a regular. We were traveling. It was dope, but it was a great experience on showing me how to manage people, like talent.
Yeah.
Like, so that was another, notch in my book. Like, I don't know if I don't do this for too long either. I'm good on this.
That's crazy. Was Miami the last stop before you hit Atlanta? Like, how'd you end up in Atlanta?
So my daughter was born and I went to New Orleans. Mm-hmm. So around that time, I was back and forth between Miami and New Orleans, and I had opened up an office in New Orleans. I had started working with some clients in New Orleans, and I was out there doing some work. The crazy part is I actually still want to do some stuff in New Orleans. It's a lot of money out there for us. It's just, they just particular on what they like and what they don't like. Mm-hmm. They super particular. From there, I went back, my mom got sick, so I went back to Virginia and everything else. This is the craziest story about, I think it was you, Leo, that said something about my mom putting like the money or the credit up.
Yeah.
So this right here is what I, always tell a lot of people, like my mom's character shone through, you know what I'm saying? My mom was sick, so she was dying and stuff like that. She was in the hospital. I remember the last 2 weeks I was with her, right? We were eating Panera bread. Like we was, going through all the, motions and everything else. I had a large production that had to do in Houston, Texas, right? I hate telling this story to women because they always end up crying in the meetings. I'm like, why y'all crying?
Let us in. Yeah, let us in.
I'd be like, why y'all crying? It was, wasn't going to be any more, blah, blah, blah. And what ended up happening was, I'm going to cancel the production. She's like, no. I'm like, what you mean? No. I'm like, you in the hospital. And I even called the client in the hospital. I'm like, yo, we rescheduled. And the guy was like, yeah, bro, like, that's fine, man. He was like, I'm a client. I'm like your brother at this point now. So it's cool, bro. Man, I got off the phone. This lady was like, nah, you need to call. His name is Brian. That's my right-hand man. That's my daughter's godfather. He's the guy that's been around me since I was been 18. Wow. So when I tell all these stories, he be in the back like I was there. I've seen all of it. You know what I'm saying? My mom was like, you need to take him with you. And I'm just like, I'm talking about me and this lady in there arguing. The nurses is coming. I'm like, we good. We doing what we do. So I'm arguing like, I'm not going to Houston. She's like, yes, you are. And I'm like, all right, okay, cool. I'm like, deal. But I'm going to be back. So they had already told me like they was going to put my mom in hospice. So the deal was I'll go do this and then I'll come back by the time they move you out of the hospital, the hospice. All right, cool deal. So we get down to Houston. I take him with me, my whole team down there. We working. I'm calling back. Boom, boom, boom. She talking and stuff like that when I call like my people's phone. Everything good. On the last day, I got an opportunity to do something, and I extended our stay about 1 day. I sent my whole rest of my team back, and my brother and I stayed there for 1 extra day. I remember staying downtown in this condo in Houston overlooking the city. That jump was so crazy. I woke up in the middle of the night and I sat on the couch and my aunt called me and was like, your mom passed away. And I'm like, dang. I'm like, man. And it's crazy because we walked out on the balcony, talked about it, and I was just like, damn, that's what she wanted though. And she wanted to go out the same way she came in with me. You know, she been my mom my whole life, but she been my business partner my whole life too. She been both. At the same time, she's always taught me the balance between like business and personal. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I felt like in the end, she was just like, you know, I kind of made you this way and you've gotten this far. So I need you to continue doing what you're doing. I just felt like she did it to know that I could still do this without her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Crazy part, when I was at the funeral, I was chill for those amount of time that I've had on this earth. Like I learned a lot of life lessons. Life goes on, but you got to take those lessons and make something of it though.
Carry it with you. That's a tremendous story, man. Yeah. And a lot of times those are the people, I won't bore you with the story of my mom passing, but help bring you to this earth to fulfill whatever vision, and you're a parent, that you have.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's almost an honor I can speak for myself. It's almost an honor for me to sacrifice for my kids to see their vision fulfilled. Because I know how I had to get it. That's probably where your mom was coming from. She knew how she had to get it. And now that she was in a position to be able to say, okay, you got somebody that could help you out, that could partner with you because you have the vision, you have the drive, you have the charisma. A lot of times we don't have the sponsor. And I can't remember who to credit this, but you need a coach, you need a sponsor, and you need a mentor. It's not that we don't have the dream, we don't have the work ethic, but we're missing those three components to help us level up and live our dream. And it sounds like your mom was all three wrapped in one.
All of them, man.
When my mom passed away, right, I saw politicians, I saw business owners, her old people from her old basketball team, soccer team, like all types of people was there, right? And, you know, people from the community, the church. She was so multifaceted and everybody had their own stories of her, right? That wasn't the stories that really had me like, oh, okay. It was when we was moving out of my neighborhood. This is when we was moving to Atlanta. I was bringing my sister with me. Mm-hmm. I'm in my old neighborhood. Some of the dope boys I grew up with, you know what I'm saying? Now they older now and we talking. And they like, man, I'm gonna miss your mom. And I'm like, and then they start individually telling me stories. Man, your mom gave me a book on business one day and told me if I could be outside trapping, I could run a business. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, he was like, sometimes, yeah, he was like, your mom fed me sometimes. Like, she just had they even said my mom hit a gun. That's what kind of been like. And then one of my guys was like, bro, she was all our moms, you know, outside. Mm-hmm. She taught us a lot. So that just kind of always like stuck in my mind. Like life just isn't about just money. It's about influence. It's about community. It's about teaching, because those are the things that other people take with them.
Yeah, they outlive you. They outlive any type of income you could generate. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Man, proves just seeing the success that you're in now. You're like, you wonder how somebody gets that way, but having a mom like that really built you up and really just helped develop you in all these different skill sets. Because a lot of the stuff you've been talking about, which is going to lead into the next question, is just like, you talk about it like these are just simple things, right? Like, oh yeah, I was doing stuff for DJ Khaled and for Lil Wayne and all these different people, and you're saying all this stuff, and it's so casual for you, but for other people, they're like, yo, how do you
get to that level?
Yeah. How do you get to that level? So my question is, you built an impressive portfolio working with brands like Red Bull, WeWork, just all of these various brands. Can you talk to us about the process of developing your agency to its level it's at today? Like, what are some of the key strategies of landing some big name clients that you've been able to work with?
The crazy part is that a lot of people don't know. I've built my agency, man. I've built it and tore it down so many times behind the walls. It's insane. I'd be unhappy with something. We're going to tear this down and then I'm going to refix this. It's just like renovating a house all the time. I'm always renovating that house. One of the things that I would say, like with the clients, like Bronner Brothers, we did the Bronner Brothers show in Atlanta. A lot of marketing people, just marketers, marketing is a science, right? Mm-hmm. But creativity is a skill. One of the things that makes us different is that I lead with creativity and put marketing second.
Okay.
Because the reason being, and Larry knows this because I said this in the same building where we met at to those folks.
Yeah.
I told them, I said, y'all need to be more creative. Like, people's attention span is short as can be now. So if people's attention span is 10 seconds and you got an opportunity to market to them, you can't give them something that they've seen in 2004. You got to spend a little bit more money. You got to be a little bit more creative. You got to push the envelope just a little bit more. I've always been with like a lot of the clients is that I just had a flooring company. You know anything about flooring? I'm like, man, I don't know nothing about laying floor. I can't even tell you what material is on the floor. Like, I don't know. And I asked them before we got off the call, I'm like, so why y'all? And the lady said, the creative portfolio. So that's what remind me that that's what everybody's looking for. So that's kind of how I approach everything with the clients is just creativity.
That's excellent. That's excellent insight, leading with your skill and then putting the science behind it to drive it. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about branding. For entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs who are just starting out. How important is it for them to establish a strong brand? And what's the advice you would give somebody who's looking to create a brand that resonates with their target audience?
One of the things I always tell them is like, be sure of what you're about to do. And you have to love the brand. You got to love what you're about to do. You can't do it just because you've seen somebody else do it. It may not work for you. Be yourself. Starting out, like the founder, the part of the brand story. So be transparent. Be yourself. I know that sometimes they say certain colors and certain fonts belong in certain industries. I mean, there's so many brands out here that do not follow
the
rules anymore. But it's a lady here in Atlanta that has a restaurant called Eat My Biscuits.
You'll never forget that.
Biscuits. The logo really looks like, it is funny, but when I drive past, the restaurant is packed all the time. And the food is amazing. And here's the irony behind it. She has a big butt. She does. You know what I'm saying?
Be yourself.
Like, you know what I'm saying? But think about it, like 10 years ago, somebody would have been like, oh no, that's a bad move. No, man. It's Atlanta. Number one, it's Atlanta. Atlanta's not even a real place. So,
it's not.
You know what I'm saying? But just be unique and be yourself. Like if you
slutty vegan, same thing.
Yes, vegan, the same thing. Like, come on, y'all. Like, y'all both know 10 years ago, nobody would have put slutty in front of anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know? So, that would be my advice.
That is crazy, bro. Like, it's very true. Branding really is a game changer for entrepreneurs. But speaking of game changers, your agency is known for connecting brands with customers in innovative ways. Can you share an example of a campaign or a project you're particularly proud of and why it stands out to you? You've done a lot of different work, but what's one that like really sticks out? Like, yo, we really nailed it on that.
I would say the Hype Hair and Bronner Brothers.
Yeah, I figured you were going to talk about that.
That was like the dopest campaigns. And the reason why, to me, the freshman class and Hype Hair and Bronner Brothers campaign was dope was because, number one, I came up with it on the whim, like driving and was listening to like some old XXL freshman freestyles on YouTube. I'm a big like hip hop person. So I'm listening to the freestyles. I'm like, damn, rap music then fell off. Like, I'm like, rap music then fell off. I'm like, so I'm wondering in my mind, like, who's going to be the freshman class for rap, right? Mm-hmm. But then in my mind, I'm thinking like, okay, we got Bronner as a client, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? I need to introduce like some top talent, some dope individuals, right? I went down the list and I went and got Daisy Does My Hair, Hannah, Pound Cake, Mitch, which is the hair physician. I went and got all these different people that are successful beauty professionals in their field. And I'm like, okay, cool. This is how we're going to do the campaign. And I literally took my vision, like built it all out and showed the team. I rented a school, like in the West End. We shot the whole campaign in the school, the commercial, the walk up, everything. We added the video, the motion graphics, the full commercial. We put the commercial on Hulu as an ad, everything. And it was just like, it garnered like, I think it was like 6 million, like 6 million impressions. It was the dopest campaign for 2 reasons. It showed creativity the whole way through, like a full rollout. And then it was great because it gave 10 people the opportunity that they really deserve, like the notoriety they deserve. So that was probably the most fulfilling campaign that no one ever paid me to do. I paid for it out of pocket.
Wow.
It was, I paid $7,000 out of pocket.
Dang.
That's crazy.
I want to touch on that. You seem to have like a connection with the beauty industry. What kind of sparked that or garnered that connection?
Them folks. I never wanted to work really in beauty like that, right? Mm-hmm. I think it just always ended up happening like that, like over time with like certain brands. It's not anything where it's like, Larry, like if you be like, we're not a beauty agency. Like some people only like working with beauty companies.
Yeah.
But I do like it because I feel like on the Black beauty side, creativity wise, I feel like we're still behind. They're really still behind. It gives my agency opportunity to come in there and like do some of the things that they're doing for the larger brands like L'Oreal and Revlon. And
That's good. That's good. So for those listening who are entrepreneurs or aspiring business owners, what are some of the common branding mistakes that you see or some things they should avoid when it comes to branding? Like, hey, there's people who are able to launch their shops because now there's kind of the same concept as executive offices in the beauty space, and people are able to kind of build their brand instead of braiding from their garage or their living room. Now they could actually have a studio. If somebody's trying to build a brand, and I just said that because we're talking about beauty, whatever the brand is, what are some things that they should avoid?
I'll tell you the first thing I always see. I've been like, this is like my common thing. Why does your logo look like that? And where's your file? Like, I swear I say that so much. Like, where's your logo files? Like, I think number one, stop getting your logo cheaply made. And then it's like, start getting individuals that actually work in the branding space to start your logo mark out like the correct way. They be having like JPEGs, no source files, no PNG, no color palette. They don't know the font. They don't have no brand guidelines. They just got a logo with a white or black background. And I'm like, well,
they got a Fiverr for like $5.
Yeah. And like when they send it to me, they're like, yeah, let's get started. I'm like, who this for? Like, where's the rest of it? They're like, yeah, that's all I got. So I'll be like, wait, you paid for a logo and I'm like, okay, Lord have mercy. That's one of the biggest things. You got to start correctly, because you're going to lose more money getting people to correct the mistakes that was made from the beginning. Just start correctly. The other thing I'll say is have a plan, a marketing plan, a business plan, a content plan, even if it's down to just your ideas, a business canvas, you know what I'm saying? Do a business canvas, but just going into something blindly is insane. That's another thing. And then if you don't know how to do something, hire the experts. Your time, like you said, bro, Leo, like how you said, like time is everything. Like people think, oh, if I save money, no, you wasted time.
Yeah, exactly.
Wasted time. You can't get that back. You didn't spend 40 hours on Canva trying to make a logo and you only got one word and you still frustrated.
Well,
just pay somebody. Pay somebody.
One of my favorite books, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, talks about how people will spend hours doing something that is not in their zone of genius, trying to save $1 when they could make $100 doing something in their zone of genius and just have somebody that their zone of genius do that. And you'll get better results. You'll make more money. You better use your time and you'll get a better end product because you're working with somebody that's in the field that does this day and night.
Facts.
You not like the expert not only works in this all the time, but they're also in the industry, so they can tell you what other people who you're trying to emulate are doing because they help them do that. So I think, yeah, there's a lot of people who are they think they can get a great product without investment. Building your brand is an investment that is going to pay you back. You just have to make that initial investment. You preaching to the choir, bro. Like that's all everywhere we live in. King, your journey, your expertise, man, it's been really inspiring. Before we wrap up, can you tell our listeners what's next for the 95 Agency and where they can follow your work?
We got a bunch of trade show brands we're working with right now that's going to be like really, really dope. Here in Atlanta, we about to jump off. I'm about to start my YouTube channel, which is going to be dope for like entrepreneurs. But yeah, you can follow me on Instagram. I am the King Davis. You can follow the agency on Instagram at the95.agency or visit our website at the95agency.com.
Awesome. King, it was a pleasure having you, pleasure meeting you, brother. Thank you for all the inspiring stories, the knowledge that you dropped. I know our audience has gained a lot of valuable insight and some things that they could take with them, especially hire an expert when it comes to anything that's not in your zone of genius. You may be good at biscuits, but you're not good at branding. Get somebody that's good at branding and keep cooking those biscuits.
Yeah.
Hey, absolutely. To all our listeners, make sure you go and follow King and check out the 95 Agency. Remember, we're here to help you level up, turn your trials into opportunities and dreams into reality. This episode, again, was brought to you by Next Level Media Marketing and the Curb and Key Realty. Before you leave, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification so you don't miss out on any of this great content. Until next time,
peace.
You see how sweet this is?
But you know what's really sweet?
You subscribing.
Subscribe now.
Peace.